Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Let's get started with Week 48's Word Nerd Wednesday. Now, this whole series we've been bouncing around between A Long Expected Party and Aldarion and Arendis to find words to look at here on Word Nerd Wednesdays. Then last week, we took a close look at the name of Luthien Tenuvio. This week, we're going to go back to our Third Age Thursday readings and talk about a few words that came up in last week's Meeting of Théoden. Now, let's start with the phrase that Sean used to borrow during the early years of the Prancing Pony podcast. Now, last Thursday, we read, after Théoden's voice rang out clear and he called out, "Forth Eorlingus," Éomer cried out, "Westu Théoden Hal! It is a joy to us to see you return into your own." Now, the phrase means roughly, "good health to you," or "may you be healthy, Théoden." Like a number of Rohirric words, we can find the equivalent in Beowulf. In line 407, where Hrothgar, the king of the Danes, comes to Beowulf, and Beowulf says, "Wastu Hrothgar Hall." I hope I got that right, which is translated as, "Be thou, Hrothgar, well." Now, back when Sean said that phrase in every episode, we had a couple of listeners point out that it was actually grammatically incorrect. Not Tolkien's phrase, of course, the way we were using it on the show. Wes is the may be part of that and is related to W forms of the irregular verb to be in English today, like was and were. But it is the second person singular form in Old English. And thu is the second person singular pronoun. It's the ancestor of the later English pronoun thou, which was only correct for speaking to a single person. Sean was speaking to many people, all of you, so he should have been using the second person plural form of that phrase. So instead of westu hal, Sean should have been saying wesath ye hal, with the second person plural pronoun, the ancestor of ye, and the plural form of the verb. But of course, that's not a direct reference to Tolkien's text, so we simply dropped it. And if you're familiar with the tradition of wassailing around Christmas time, you may know that the practice of going door to door, singing and offering a drink from a so-called wassail bowl in exchange for gifts on Christmas Eve or even on Twelfth Night has been a tradition in England since the Middle Ages. The word wassail actually comes from this same Old English greeting that Sean used incorrectly for several seasons. Westu hal, may you be healthy, over time became wes hal, which in turn became wassail. But let's look at the name in the middle of that phrase, the man whom Éomer is wishing good health, Théoden King. Well, actually, that's the meaning of his name. Théoden is a common Old English noun meaning king. One of the elements in his name, the Théod part, means people, as I talked about a while back when we learned about the predecessor to the Rohirrim, the Eotheod, or horse people. Now, there's not much more to add about Théoden's name, except that even his father Thengel had the same issue as his name also means prince or lord. That word derives from Old English thane, which is related to Thain, as in the thane of the Shire. But now let's look at something Théoden said earlier in the reading. "Arise now, arise, riders of Théoden. Dire deeds awake, dark is it eastward. Let horse be bridled, horn be sounded, forth Eorlingus." Let's take a closer look at the end of this rousing call to battle. Of course, forth means forward. It's virtually unchanged from Old English to Modern English. Interestingly, the OED says that in both Old and Middle English, it could be used as a verb meaning to put forward or to carry out a task. But clearly that's not the case here. Here it's just an adverb for the direction of movement with an implied verb of go. So go forth, Eorlingus, is what's understood here, even though the go is not said. Much like a modern military commander might simply call forward, and all the soldiers know what to do. Eorlingus is more interesting. Now, Eorl is simply a reference to Eorl the Young, whose name literally means earl or nobleman, like I talked about back when we read through Cirion and Eorl. The suffix is a plural form of either ling, meaning a person or thing belonging to or concerned with the noun that it's attached to, or just ing, meaning descended from. Now, it's not clear to me, and I couldn't find any evidence as to which Tolkien intends here, but either way, the meaning is still people of Eorl. So this is good Rohirric for go forward, people of Eorl. Now, before we go, we'll also look at the names of a couple of other folks we've seen in the passages we read last Thursday, the nephew and niece of Théoden, Éomer and Éowyn. Now, like we talked about in the Kyrion and Aoral readings about the Eotheod, that AO prefix means horse or war horse. In Eomer's name, the suffix appears to be from Old English mer, meaning grand, excellent, famous, so a grand or famous horse. Eowyn's name means horse joy or lover of horses in Old English, and it's also a combination of the names of her late parents, Eomund and Théoden. And folks, that is it for today's Word Nerd Wednesday. Come back next week as we wander the wide, wild, wonderful world of words weekly on Wednesdays. And if there is a word that you want to know more about, please let me know by emailing bartleman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, a bonus weekly episode, and a lot more. And join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times for Third Age Thursday. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please follow or subscribe on your podcast apps, and follow @Tolkien Times on all your social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.